Hey everyone. So in this video we're going to be going over how to actually test drive a used vehicle for purchase. Now again, my videos are going to focus primarily on these older Chrysler vehicles. On inexpensive used cars like what I'm reviewing, your primary concern should be, is the vehicle mechanically sound? Is it safe to drive? And whether or not you're actually dealing with something that you want to use as a daily driver, or if you are buying it as a project car. If you're buying it as a project car, the mechanics may not be as big of an issue for you, but if you're looking for a daily driver that you don't have to put a whole lot of elbow grease into, you're going to want to look for making sure that it's not running poorly, that it is, the steering is functioning properly, that the suspension's good, that the brakes are good, the transmission functions normally, you want to make sure the heater works, all the general basic things. So we're going to kind of go over all that in this video today. The first thing that I always like to go over before you even start a test drive is you want to make sure that all of the gauges, and particularly the warning lights, are functioning. The brake warning lamp, the oil light and or gauge, and your check engine light, you want to make sure that these are functioning, particularly the brake and the oil lights and or pressure gauge. Some cars just have a pressure gauge, some cars have an oil light, some cars have both. In this car, you have both. So when we turn the key on, you can see we've got our check engine light is functioning, our oil light is functioning. The check engine light was not always called check engine. On some of them it was power loss, on others it was power limited, and then they finally changed over to the universal check engine. After 1987 they standardized it to check engine. Now to test the brake light, just put your foot on, push down the parking brake, and as you can see, the brake warning light right here is functioning. Now another thing you can check on these is, and this applies to any fuel-injected Chrysler vehicle made between 1984 and 1995. The check engine light itself, which is over here on this car where my finger is, that will flash out codes, trouble codes. So you can very easily check the system for codes by following the following procedure. What you do is you turn the key on, off, on, off, on, and then you wait. And if you keep an eye on there, you'll see the check engine light will start flashing. 1, 1, 2, so that's a code 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have two codes in the system memory right now. Code 12 simply means that the battery has recently been disconnected to clear out any fault codes. And then code 55 simply means end of message. That means right now there are no codes in the computer on this car. One of the things you want to do once you have this engine started is you want to kind of turn the wheel back and forth to make sure there's no play in it. Listen for the power steering pump, see if it's making any weird, groaning noises or anything. Listen for any clunks in the steering, any sloppiness in the steering. Anything like that could be a potential problem with the steering rack, which can be potentially dangerous. You want to test other things such as the horn. Horn works. Then I like to always, kind of put my foot on the brake, make sure the brake doesn't feel spongy or off at all. Make sure it feels good. Rev the engine a little bit, make sure it sounds good. And then I like to put the car into forward and reverse gears at first to feel how it feels when you're putting it into gear. So first we'll start with drive. You want to make sure that it doesn't jerk really bad or clunk or bang when you put it into gears. So this unit is functioning very nicely. It's functioning smooth. It's not really jerky, so that's a good sign. Okay, just to recap one more time, when you are testing a used car for purchase, first thing that I usually do before I test drive it and after I check the various fluid levels, make sure that everything looks good, is I like to make sure all of the warning lights work. Then go ahead and start the car. Make sure you adjust your mirrors so that you can see out of it. Lock the doors. Door locks work. Beautiful. Okay, so off we go. We're going to go in reverse. Back up a little bit. And we're going to go into drive. On our turn signal, let traffic know we're coming out. And off we go. Now when you're driving the car, again, you want to listen for any abnormal noises, bangs, clicks, clunks, things like that. You also want to feel the suspension, make sure that it doesn't feel floaty or bouncy or anything. You want to make sure it feels nice and firm yet comfortable. Go over some of these bumps. Suspension in this car feels good so far, so that's a good thing. Go ahead and make a right turn. You want to make sure the brakes feel good. Make a right turn. Turn, we're going to get onto a more major street now. This will let us pick up a little bit of speed, feel how it shifts through the various gears and how it does at higher speeds. You also want to keep an eye on your gauges. So right now our oil pressure looks good, coolant temperature looks good, battery voltage looks good. So far the car is running very, very smooth, very nice, no abnormal vibrations, it tracks straight, the alignment seems to be good, there's no shimmies or weirdness going on with it. Give you an idea as to how to test your potential purchase on the highway. Accelerate onto the highway here. This gives us a chance to kind of do a wide open throttle through both first and second gears. Now is a good time to test out the cruise control and see if it works. So go ahead and hit set on that, and what do you know, the cruise control works on this car, so there's a plus code for this car. So far so good. is about 3 to 5 miles an hour off. The digital clusters that Chrysler used are always dead accurate, so I don't know why that is. They both run off of the same speed sensor. These are not cable driven, these are still electric. So I'm not sure why the analog clusters always seem to run fast, but they do. And now what we want to do, now that we've got the highway test drive done, is we want to take the vehicle into a parking lot. And there's a couple reasons why you want to do this. Primarily, you want to get in a place where you can turn the wheel from lock to lock, make sure you're not getting any strange noises from the steering or from the drive axles. This is a really bumpy parking lot, so this is a good place to check your suspension as well when you've got lots of bumps, lots of madness going on. You can turn your wheels around to make sure there's no noises. The suspension is working very nicely. There's no noise coming from the drive axles, the CV axles, that is to say. So that's really good news. Now we can kind of go over these speed bumps. It sounds great. No big clunks or bangs or noises coming from the suspension when you go over bumps. My seat made a little bit of noise when I went over that last bump, but that's not as big of a deal as having to replace your suspension. So that's good. Alright, well that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and park now, and you guys all have a great day.